Of course, the breaking news for the day, as to be expected, a lot of rumblings were happening, is that the FDA was going to approve the A vaccine, and it looks like Pfizer was the one that they went with initially. Pretty sure the others will be shortly following, or the other rather in Moderna. We'll see what happens. Now, that comes with this set of stipulations, or what's going to maybe happen out of that. A lot of people, of course, have been alluding to, well, this means that you're going to have governments be able to, because it's now quote unquote FDA approved, force it upon people. There are Supreme Court cases that have precedent from that. And that means that that's what they're going to attempt to do. So leading to more pressure, rather, to do that and be able to pull it off without much pushback. Now, that's one thing, and that's obviously something worth conversing about and having a conversation. But for the sake of this segment, I want to talk about the other aspect. And that is that there are a bunch of fucking morons. Let's call them, for lack of better terms. I can't call them anything else. A bunch of fucking morons who have been under the moronic impression that a lot of us give a motherfuck about what the FDA says. Okay? It's hilarious that so many people think this, but there are folks that, and it's because there are a lot of people that have led with this argument, and that is, well, X vaccine wasn't FDA approved. Now, I'm not doubting that there are people that have said that. Okay, I'm not stupid enough to do that. I've heard people say that sometimes. However, there are a great amount of a lot of us that never gave a fuck what the FDA said. If anything, it'd be like, oh, I damn sure don't want to take it now. But you get what I'm saying. The FDA, my position on, let's say, not being vaccinated, my individual position, I'm not saying yours, but for example, me, there are folks that maybe think like me, never rested upon what a government alphabet agency that shouldn't even exist said. Why would I care about that? You know what I'm saying? That's because these people are under this impression that, well, the government has, like they themselves, the government has basically their hands up their entire assholes. Let's just be 100 with it. For lack of better terms, that's what's going on. So they assume that everybody else likes to live like that. So, they were just clinging on. What's the excuse now? Like we have an example right here, because this is Valerie Jarrett of the, I don't know. Oh, senior advisor to Barack Obama, of course, says no more excuses. Please get vaccinated today, responding to, of course, what had been said. And that is that the FDA has not approved this vaccine. Like I mentioned here, I said you haven't been paying any attention if your silly behind thinks passing on this vaccine just rested upon what the FDA said. Like, again, with myself. And let me explain that just real quick for those of you that are just so confused that somebody could dare not go to get the vaccine. You see, me, I'm in a health and age group where, it's very unlikely that I will be hospitalized and or die from COVID. That's what all their data points to. We're talking an infected fatality rate in the 0.0s. Okay? Therefore, I have assessed that natural immunity. I'm not obese or overweight, right? Like, 78%, I believe the CDC, according to CDC, said were the hospitalizations. I'm not that. So, considering that data, also, I've just assessed that I want to, it's okay. I'm okay with the natural immunity impact because of the fact that, well, the virus is what it is. And that is a virus that doesn't seem to, it's not as deadly as they want it to be. It's not as apocalyptic as they pretend that it is. Now, you may think because it acts as, let's say, a symptom suppressant, then, it's worth it for you. And that's your business. Me, I'm fine. I'm going to have to pass on that. And that's my position. And that's the position of a lot of other people. Like, okay, we have an immune system. We'll let the natural immunity take place. There's a lot of, studies and stuff being done about this. Like, people having, let's say natural immunity and versus people having a vaccine, catching it, not having a vaccine and catching it, vice versa, whatever, having versus not, and how long those antibodies last or, you know, and all of that. Like, I just want to, looking at that and assessing the risk, I'm perfectly fine with just assuming said risk and not taking it. I don't give a fuck what the FDA said. Why would I give a shit about that? Like, they just cannot believe that someone would dare. Like, oh, well, that was the last thing they were waiting on. All right, it was just the FDA. Now that it's approved, you got it. You got to get it right because you were waiting on a fucking FDA. Like, there's also something else to take into consideration. The FDA and what they say doesn't mean a damn thing. You know why? Because that doesn't mean that there isn't any issue with it or something like that. And I'm not saying that everybody's taking it because they think there's an issue with it. Look, man, it's on scale. Everybody has their reasons for not taking the vaccine. But even if we went on the behalf of just the safety of it, even the NPR, who probably, I don't know, they may be shilling for the vaccine now. NPR, this is only 4 years ago, really. 1/3 of new drugs had safety problems after FDA approval. Take as much time as y'all need to process that if y'all want, you know. Do it if you need. Do it if you need. I'll repeat it one more time as the headline. 1/3 of new drugs had safety problems after FDA approval. And you can go read this. It's going right at NPR. And it talks about drugs that have been approved by the FDA that fucked people up. Y'all remember that? What was it called? Vioxx? If I'm not mistaken. Y'all remember that? And it was like tens of thousands of people having fucking heart attacks after, and that was after the FDA approved. It's like, I believe it was like a pain. I can't remember what the actual drug was supposed to be. If I'm not mistaken, it was like a painkiller. FDA approves it. And you got tens of thousands of heart attacks, and they're like, oh shit, we might have fucked up. All that considered. Now, obviously, this happened during the Trump administration, so y'all got to understand. With not the Vioxx stuff, that was back in the gap. But I'm talking about this right here, and them writing this. You know, it's different, right? When the orange man or a person that's a Republican, people are all skeptical and shit of medicine. All of a sudden, you know what I mean? Like you've heard Kamala Harris say that, for example, she wouldn't take the Trump vaccine, and now all of a sudden things get to changing. So that has a little bit of something to do with it. But looking at it objectively, the FDA has never been the beacon of like safety, right? Never have they been that. They've absolutely never been that. So this idea that people were waiting on that doesn't even fucking make sense from a safety standpoint. Considering the information that I just gave you, there's already mountains of evidence. And don't get me started on Pfizer and their settlements as well. Like, to act like that, and I'm not saying that that's what the vaccines do. What I'm saying is about the FDA approval or the idea that it came from, let's say, a pharmaceutical company, it equals good. That's just nonsense, and it's very naive. That's all I'm saying. So, not all of us give a fuck about the FDA. Not all of us wait for our marching orders from the alphabet agencies that are part of the federal government. Not all of us are like that. Some of us have assessed the risk, and honestly, with science, and say, you know what, we'll just pass on it, and that's all right to assume. So, with that being said, FDA approving this means not a motherfucking thing in regards to that. Now, will they maybe try to use this to force it upon people? That's for another discussion. You just watched a clip from our podcast, For Canon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcanonsake.com.